your name begins with T, my name begins with T. It's a match made in heaven. But I'll see you later though, yeah? Easy now. Easy. Oops. Yes guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we have the VW ID Buzz. It's a bit different. Let's get into it. So yes guys, this is the ID Buzz. It's a rear-wheel drive 5-seater camper van that's got 204 brake horsepower and 310 Newton meters of torque. It has a battery range of 255 miles, which for most will probably be enough, but if you have got a camper van, I'm going to assume you're doing long trips, so is 255 miles enough? So now if we take a look around it, we're on 20-inch rims all round, and we also have these quirky lights on the car, and they're actually called ID lights. Do you get it? The light ID light. It's probably a bad joke, but I quite like the rear more than I like the front. You've got this rude boy LED that goes all around the boot, and it looks very naughty. These don't actually do anything. I'm not too sure why they're here. Probably just to break up the white. But this comes in some naughty colours. But for me, the understated green and white, even though it is quite leery, is probably what I'd go for. The orange, not for me, unfortunately. Okay, so as we move into the interior, the first thing that I noticed was this. It's got armrests. This is a van after all, so you've got armrests for the driver and the passenger, and also on the front, you've got loads of space. Look at the amount of real estate you've got here. Look at that. We've got loads of USB ports. They claim 7, but I can only find 6. And that is the naughtiest one of them all. That's quite cool. So when you wire up your dash cam, you don't have to have wires going everywhere. So now when we move into the rear, you can see there is no pan roof, which isn't a problem for most, but if I was in the back of a van, I'd want to have a bit more light, especially because these windows here actually don't go up and down, which is rather unfortunate, because if this is a camper van, then you assume that people are going to want to camp in it and just take their mates, and that is quite sad that those windows don't go up and down. Maybe it's because of the system or the way it's set up, I don't know, or at least I'd expect to be an option here just to pop it out, but I'm driving this car, so it doesn't really bother me. Okay, so out and about in the ID Buzz, when you press the mode button, we all love a bit of speed, and you press the sport button, not much actually happens, to be fair. The car feels quite, I don't know, similar throughout all of the modes, but I just run it in eco because it's an EV. You want to be efficient, but when you put it in sport and you're below the speed limit, say to be precise 33, and we're in a 50, we'll just wait for postwoman actually, Jane, to go past, and you slam the accelerator. It gives you a little kick, then once you get to 50, it kind of just runs out of steam. So if you're buying this with the hopes of it being, I don't know, an EV blaster, it doesn't really do that. And I'll probably whack in a 0 to 30 just to see how nippy it really is. But one thing I can say is that the body roll on roads like this, quite bumpy, the car is quite compliant, and I don't know how they've managed to do that, bearing in mind this is meant to just be a camper van, because you can essentially get a mattress, throw it on top of that flat board in the boot, and just sleep and just take a few nods. But it's quite compliant on bumpy roads. I'll definitely give it that. So once you've had your fun, I'm talking about fun driving, not in the back on the boot, easy now, and you whack it back into eco or comfort, the first thing that you notice is that the car is very, very smooth to drive. Right now I've got my foot off the accelerator and it's just holding its speed and just rolling along, making good progress. But when you get into town, and I'm talking about city London to be precise, and you get to a few bumps, you really do have to drop the speed. Not that you should be taking bumps at 20 miles an hour, but you really have to drop the speed to make sure that you don't get marks on your gums from when your teeth are just going to be smashing up and down, because it is a tad bit harsh. But when you're on smooth roads, and like I said, if you keep the speed where it should be, this car is this van rather, is very easy to drive. And try not to say this thing, because I watched a video back on my last video, and all I kept saying is this thing, the thing. It's just a bit cringy. So yeah, I'm trying to do better, guys. So yeah, like the video if I'm doing better, or just like the video if you're human. Yeah, let's see how many humans are out there. So as the heavens are opening, I'm actually on my way home, which is great because today is not the day we're doing a full review on this car. We're actually going to be taking a journey from London to Manchester, which is more than the 255 miles that is quoted with the battery range. So I'm quite intrigued to see how it does. We're on manual seats here, and this thing costing 67, I just said this van costing £67,000. Is it really worth it? It's a no-brainer if you've got a big family, big adults in the back, you decide to go on cycling trips, you can throw about 3 bikes in the back. It's a no-brainer for that. But is it really that good? Or is it just overhyped? Because there is a lot of hype around this thing, and there's a lot of hype around this car. There's a lot of hype around this van. So let's see what it's all about. I'll catch up with you guys in a few days. So my time with the ID Buzz has now come to an end. I've covered around 500 miles in it. But unfortunately, not all that glitters is gold, but there's more gold than glitter, unless there's more glitter. Let me explain. So straight off the bat, with this being a van, it's going to have a great seating position. You're sat really, really high up. In terms of comfort, it definitely is that for majority of the drive. Passengers, whether it was the kids in the back and the wife in the front, or vice versa, everybody was a happy bunny. And something to note is that this gets a lot of looks and loads of thumbs up from drivers or people that were just walking around. It was actually parked up charging while we were getting something to eat, and a fella just came up to me quite close and he was just like, "Oh, your mate, your car's lovely." And I was like, "Cool, mate, stand back, but yeah, cheers." Yeah, so it gets a lot of thumbs up. I think it's down to the heritage of this shape. I'm not sure if it's the ID Buzz specifically, but the Campervan always tends to, I don't know, it's always going to be a friendly owner driving one of these things, or somebody who's at peace with the world. Totally, I don't want to do the hand sound, so I think I swore before. So now, some things that can be improved is that it actually has some drive modes. However, there is not much of a difference between them all. I'm not sure if running in comfort and eco brings you more MPG, but the drive modes, I didn't feel like they did anything. Obviously, sport is always going to feel more sharper, but with eco, I thought the throttle would be less sensitive, but I feel like it's quite snappy when you're actually going from, I don't know, 10 miles an hour upwards, or 0 miles to 30 miles. It's quite snappy, which is great for, I don't know, traffic light drag racing, but other than that, it is a bit snappy. And also, something that I noticed is that as my drives got on and on, there is no lumbar adjustment, meaning if you do have a bad back, just having this area in here, you're not going to have any form of adjustability. Something else that I mentioned at the beginning that I didn't think would be too much of a problem, but at one point I really wanted to open these windows in the rear just to crack some air out for people in the back, and obviously with this being a van, it couldn't happen. There is, I don't know, a retrofit I've seen somebody do where they fit a window in here that they can just slide forward and back, but all they'd need to do is just get a little clip just over here just to allow everyone to get some fresh air, because again, if you're driving at low speeds, you probably want to turn off the aircon to save battery, but if you're going to do that, it's going to get a bit stuffy, so you think you could just crack the window open in the rear, but that isn't possible. So my final conclusion is that the ID Buzz is a great camper van. Looks, space, tick tick. With it being an EV, I don't want to sing the EV song, but the battery life needs to be a bit longer, and if we could get that range to, say, I don't know, 400, which will give us effectively 350 miles, I'll be happy to get one. But guys, as usual, if you have enjoyed this video, please smash the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. God bless.